Guys, what is going on? Blobs back. Welcome back to another episode of Sound Drives, and welcome back to another episode of the winners and the losers from the most recent car correction change. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about how their favorite BMW M5, for example, is completely useless now. I get that, you know, BMW M5 is one of many epics that they killed off in this update, but among all the losers, there were a couple of winners, and that's exactly what we're going to be jumping into today. So as always, guys, for these kind of videos, we're going to turn off the camera, we're going to get straight into the video. Okay, guys, before we get into it, though, I do want to say, I don't usually say it, but if you do like the content on the channel, especially the ones that you've seen recently, feel free to hit that subscribe button, because I am 15 subs away from the big 13,000. So if we could get to 13,000 subs, you know, maybe like a day after this videos go live, that'd be kind of nice. That'd be kind of nice. But anyway, let's get into it. So as always, green winners, red losers. Let's get into it. The first winner here is the BMW M235i X-Drive Grand Coupe. I think that this car has actually benefited from this update. Why? Because although I think that ground clearance going from, you know, low to medium is usually a detriment, right? It's usually something bad. In this specific scenario, this car is a winner because it has no further stat changes, right? The handling didn't go down, the 0 to 60 didn't increase, the RQ didn't increase. You know, this is a car that has just gone from low to medium with no RQ changes. So, you know, this is a really good one. Also, shout out, because I remember, I think it was like a few months ago, maybe half a year ago, it's been quite some time, I was reviewing a carbon fiber for the What Can You Get From That Pack series, and I said that this car was medium, and a lot of people were like, oh my god, Blossom just doesn't know the game, you know, like the car's obviously low and he's judging it as a medium car. Here's the thing, okay, you're kind of right, I didn't know the game that well, because I did say that it was medium when it was low, but I know cars, right? Like this thing is medium ground clearance, and I'll try to fix that shit. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's have a look at it. So compared to four-wheel drive medium performance ultra rares, this car is, I would say, pretty competitive. On the super twisty stuff, it will still lose to your RQ60 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, as you can see stated over here. But when you go to the more hybrid stuff, like your Monaco tracks and your Tokyo tracks, that's where, you know, the BMW shines a little more. It looks like you kind of want to utilize one 323 and another one 233. They kind of trade blows, you know, when it comes to like the city street small, medium, Monaco, city sprints, Tokyo off-ramp, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a little bit interesting, but also at the same time, you know, 323 is the better car here, and the only reason why it's the better car here is because 233 has no times. But, you know, in other scenarios, like for Hairpin Road, the 323 is better than the 233. But yeah, among four-wheel drive medium ground clearance performance tire ultras, I would say that the M2 has definitely benefited from the change, and I do hope it stays 64. If one day it goes to like a 65, because I can see Robin putting this as a 65, or for God forbid 66, and it doesn't deserve to be there. I think that this is great. You know, it's a good 64. It's not overly dominant. It's still switching blows with the Audi A1 and the Mitsubishi Lancer. I think that this is a good place for the BMW. Please do not move it anymore. 64 is a good place for the car. Now, our first loser that I want to cover is the Dodge Powerbox. This thing has gone up in RQ. The RQ has increased by 3. My bad, I put 2 in the text, actually 3, right? 61 plus 3 is 64. And the handling has decreased. So the car basically got nerfed, but the RQ went up. So that's always just, that's just terrible. That's horrible. As you can see over here, when you compare it to other RQ64 off-road tire cars, not even other RQ64 off-road tire cars, just some of the better handling off-road tire cars, like the RQ54 Mitsubishi Triton that used to be a super rare. You got the Broncos as well. As you can see, the Powerbox, it doesn't win anything, right? Airplane slalom, congratulations. Airplane slalom dirt, right? But everywhere else, the Ford Ranger Raptor V6, that's the car that you want to get. And then surprisingly, I did not know this, but for ocean beach slalom, I guess the Silverado 1500 is useful for something. But then again, I think that will probably still lose to the Audi Q7 anyway, right? So this is just a comparison within a small sample size of better handling off-road tire cars. And the Powerbox, unfortunately, is not that good of an option. So for an RQ64, it's losing to things like the RQ63 Bronco, definitely worse than the Ranger. definitely out of its depth. And shout out to the Triton, by the way, being like a slalom specialist, as you can see over here. I thought Hutch wanted to buff the hell out of specialists. It looks like they changed their mind on that, huh? Alright, going back to our next winner over here is the GMC Acadia. I'm not going to talk about this car too much. If you watch my winners episode on Super Rares, or covering Super Rares that I posted about 2-3 days ago, you can tell the GMC Acadia is basically your premier all-surface tire Super Rare that you would want to use these days, especially on gravel and more hybrid off-road track sets such as, I believe, Rallycross Small, if it's just all-surface tire cars, stuff like that. I think like those mixed track sets where off-roads are not too dominant in, then the GMC Acadia is a pretty decent all-surface tire Super Rare for you to use. RQ has increased by 5, it's gone from 44 to 49. That being said, the 0 to 60 has decreased by 1.2 seconds, and I think the most important thing about a car like this with its nature where it competes is as long as the handling doesn't change, as long as the handling doesn't get nerfed, it will be decent, right? 82 handling max out, I believe, if I'm correct, I believe it's 82 handling when you max it out. Not too bad. I mean, I don't really care if the MRA was cut, I don't really care if the RQ has increased, as long as the handling stays the same, I think it'll be pretty decent, and with that 0 to 60 decrease, that is definitely a buff in my books. Moving on to another winner is the Saturn Sky Redline. Yeah, this car got a +3 handling buff, and the RQ actually only increased by 1. So I think that this is actually a pretty decent car, and as you can see, compared against super rare, low ground clearance American cars that are either rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, it is relatively useful, I would say. It's the best car for G-Force and indoor karting, city slalom, city sprint, Monaco G-Force, Monaco narrow streets. Again, when it comes to these tracks that you see at the bottom over here, it's a little bit harder to compare the cars because, you know, there aren't times for the Ford Mustang or the Razor or some for the Solstice even. But it's fair to say that, you know, for a 47, this thing is, you know, competing up against 49s, and I think that's pretty damn good. Also, the Acura Integra still at 45, being the best car for car park, G-Force beating your 49s and 47s. I mean, that's pretty impressive, and I think that the Acura Integra could actually go up to a 46. 47 might be a little bit too high for a specialist like that, but, you know, 46, you know, I can see it going up. Right now, the Acura Integra is still a pretty good bargain, so if you have a couple of those fully upgraded, that's pretty decent. But we're talking about the Saturn Sky right now. With that handling buff, I think it actually is a pretty relatively useful American super rare worth keeping around, worth maxing for sure, especially if you play clubs. It might come in useful, right? Now moving on to another loser, we've got the Chevy Lumina. The RQ increased by 1, it went from 32 to 33. That being said, the handling decreased by 2, so it's the same thing as the Powerbox, where, you know, there's nothing good going for it. The RQ has increased, the handling has decreased. It's just 2 shots and that's it, you know? Moving on to another loser is the Mercedes SLK32 AMG. The RQ has also increased by 2. The 0 to 60 has increased as well from 4.6 seconds to 4.9, and the MRA has decreased ever so slightly from 82 to 77. So overall, it has become a worse dragster, a slower car, but more expensive to use in terms of RQ, which is a bit of a shame, really. I don't think that this was a very good ultra rare already as a 55, and now at a 57, it's just worse. Moving on to another loser is the Alpha 156 GTA Sport Wagon. We say goodbye to this one as well, mainly because the 0 to 60 has increased by 0.3, going from 5.8 seconds to 6.1. The MRA, yes, has increased from 52 to 61. That isn't saying much, and the RQ also stays the same, which is, you know, pretty bad considering that this car did get a increase of a 0 to 60 of 0.3. So it's just less of a bargain, it's more expensive to use. I couldn't care less about your MRA increase. 61, what, does that make you a dragster now? Absolutely not. All right, moving on to, in my opinion, this is a winner. Some people might say it's a loser, maybe it's neutral. I think it's a winner, and I'm gonna try and attempt to tell you why. The Renault Sport Clio Cup car, yes, it has gone up to Ultra, I understand that. The RQ has increased by 3, but the handling has also increased by 3. It does lose traction control and ABS, not like that really mattered for a car like this anyway. But, you know, the handling has increased, and when you fully upgrade this thing, it's 101, or I think it's 102 even, on the handling score, and that is very, very impressive. Now, comparing this Clio with low ground clearance RQ52 and below twisty specialists, it isn't dominant, but this is basically what I want to see. This is pretty balanced. honestly. Like, this is really what you want to see, you know, different cars trading blows with each other, none of them being, you know, terrible, honestly. As you can see, the Dodge Circuit EV, you know, it's got a little bit of tracks that it wins. The Lotus Elite Sport, you know, OG car, still fantastic on the indoor karting. And here we see the Clio Cup car, upgraded two ways, 323 and 233. 323 is great on the car park, 233 is great on G-Force. When you look at some of the other tracks that's over here, is also a fantastic option for City Slalom, Monaco G-Force, Monaco Narrow Streets, I believe that is. So some really decent stuff coming on for a car. You mean, you know, usually, especially when it comes to Hutch, when a car gets a rarity upgrade, usually they like to overcorrect things. And I don't think that the Renault Clio Cup car is heavily overcorrected. I think it's okay as a 52. I think it'll be a great 51, but at a 52, I think it's treading water just the same. It's great. You know, now we're looking at RQ55, right? So we're going above its depth. Or less, front-wheel drive ultra rares with performance or slick tires, and the Clio Cup car is pretty damn good. It's able to beat things like the Honda Civic, it's able to beat things like the Hyundai Veloster, and I know what you're saying, like, Blossom, those are, you know, performance tire cars. It's not really fair to compare those two, but at the same time, when you're encountering a front-wheel drive club event that's just dry, these cars are going to be racing against each other. Now, to be fair, if I'm going to compare the Clio Cup car to an RQ55 Alfa Romeo, or just an RQ55 slick car, example being this Alfa Romeo 147, yeah, the Alfa is going to be better. And that's why I didn't even put the times in, because the Alfa is going to be better. But, you know, fair play, you know, it's 55. It should be better anyway. I think the Clio is, you know, where it should be. I think 52 is pretty good. It definitely did get a buff. It has 102, 101 handling, something along those lines. Very big numbers for an ultra rare. Yeah, I think it deserves its place. It's a winner in my book. Another winner is the Renault Laguna Coupe. It has gone down in RQ from 39 to 38, but the top speed has increased by 21. Now, honestly, for cars like these, for most cars, a top speed increase is useless. Unless you have really good MRA, a top speed increase is genuinely useless. But then again, this is a buff nonetheless, right? The handling didn't get cut, the 0 to 60 didn't get cut or increased. It's still a great bargain. It's more of a bargain now because it's cheaper to use. Moving on. Okay, so again, in my opinion, this is a massive win. It's the Dodge Hornet GT, probably one of the biggest changes to come out from the rarity change, or one of the car correction changes, and that is the Dodge Hornet GT. So the 0 to 60 has increased by 0.4. It's gone from 6.1 seconds to 6.5. The tires, here's the big one. It's gone from performance tires to standard, which makes sense. It keeps its drivetrain a four-wheel drive, and the MRA has also increased from 51 to 70. That's actually relatively substantial. 70 is a decent number for a four-wheel drive entire car. Not good, but it's not terrible. Like 51, and the RQ has increased by 16. Honestly, I think this is a huge win, mainly because of what it is. It is a four-wheel drive standard tire Dodge. Now, looking at, just, cars within its RQ neighborhood that are four-wheel drive and standard tires, there are not a lot of times, because no one has maxed. Mine's 2-star, right? I maxed the handling on mine. Mine's 1, 2, 3. I will max it eventually, but not yet. Mine's alright already. So I can't test it yet because it's not fully upgraded, but whoever has put in the car park times and the karting circuit times, that's a pretty good start, right? Capable of beating the Citadel, models the CX-30. To be fair, a lot of these cars are actually kind of bad that I'm comparing up against, but the main thing that makes the Hornet a win in my books is that it's the best standard tire Dodge. I mean, what you're seeing here are the top 5 standard tire Dodges in the game. You got the Hornet, then you get the Durango Pursuit, the Grand Caravan, the Dakota, and the Stratus. And for a Dodge collector like myself, for an American collector like myself, having a Hornet GT in my collection fully upgraded is actually pretty damn useful, I would say. I would say it's needed as well, especially if you're a Dodge collector. I mean, imagine if there's any Dodge event where there's wet. That thing is going to be a game changer. It will be a game changer. Okay, moving on. Oh, this is a big L. This is a massive, massive, massive L. It's the AC Cobra 378. Dude, I'm going to be completely honest. It was a terrible ultra already. It was a terrible ultra. I used it for absolutely nothing. The only reason why it was 64 was because it had a low 0 to 60. The MRA on this thing was absolutely garbage, and it hasn't changed. It's going up to RQ68, plus 4 in RQ for crying out loud. MRA is still 65.34 according to Top Drive's records. Again, top speed increased by 30. Who the actual hell cares? When you buff the top speed of a car with no MRA, it's like saying a guy that, it's like saying, oh, this dude is like 6'7", but he's got broken legs. What's the damn point? You're not tall. I mean, like, you're 6'7", but you're in a wheelchair. Probably still taller than me, to be fair. But what I'm trying to say is that, you know, buffing top speed on a car with no MRA is not a buff. It's just redundant. This car was a terrible 64, and now you're telling me that it's a 68? It's in now as a 68. This AC Cobra, not gonna lie, it's in that territory of like, yeah, dude, I just want to fuse it. It's just that shit of an epic now. It's terrible. Phaeton also is a loser. Handling has decreased by 2. RQ has increased by 4. I get it. They didn't change the MRI, and the MRI on this car is pretty decent. It's like 88. But that being said, I mean, I don't think that this thing should go up by freaking 4 RQ, especially since the handling has decreased by 2. That's just ridiculous. Then we got the Aston Martin DB7. Again, top speed has increased by 8 miles per hour, but the MRA has actually decreased from 78 to 67. It's the same thing with the AC, right? Like, I don't care if you're 6'7". If you got broken legs, you ain't even tall, bro. All right, you know your head's not gonna be touching the ceiling anyway. You know what I mean? Moving on, Acura RSX Type S. Okay, this one's huge. I don't know where all my notes went. As you can see, my words has just disappeared. But anyway, I know what happened. The RQ has increased by 10. The tires has gone from performance tires to standard tires, right? And the handling has decreased by 1. Doesn't matter if the handling has decreased by 1. 81 handling for a standard tire car is incredible. Okay, it's just incredible. It's the best front wheel drive standard tire car in the game. It is the best front wheel drive standard tire car in the game. It's ridiculous. So yeah, this is a car that is like immediately blossom choice, immediately max it out. There's a power vacuum right now. There's nothing even close to the RSX. Maybe the Acura TLX. That's it. But yeah, this thing is fan-frickin-tastic. Okay, another winner, Audi. Rare one to have an Audi as a winner, but the Audi S5 Cabriolet. I gotta say, I think it was one of the Year of the Snake events. This car was still really useless, but it is where it should be, I think, as an RQ61. It got a handling increase and an RQ decrease. Look at that. Oh man, finally, it's not that terrible anymore. I look at this car now and I don't want to vomit, you know? Like, it's still not great, but it's definitely not hot garbage anymore, so that's cool. You know, it's a handling buff, you know, RQ decrease. That's pretty nice. Do that for every single Audi. How about that? Then maybe I'll stop memeing on them. We got another one, Ford Escort Rally Spec. This is a good one too. Handling has increased by 3. Yes, the RQ has also increased by 6. Sorry, that was supposed to be highlighted in orange because obviously when an RQ increases, that's not really a good thing. But then again, this car is very useful now because of all the rarity changes. Your Ford Escort Rally Spec is meta once again. It was meta and now it's back because, you know, all those Fiats have gone up to ultra rare and they're all useless now anyway. But you got your Ford Escort Rally Spec. Yeah, that's the king of the crop now when it comes to just, you know, rear wheel drive or front wheel drive, super off-road, you know, super air off-road tire cars. It's good. You can use it on the dirt and snow, sand, all that kind of stuff. Just don't put it on a drag, you know what I mean? All right, moving on. Another winner, Lotus Elan. The RQ has decreased by 2, but the ground clearance has changed from medium to low, so it's just a little bit more of a bargain. It's back where it should have been because this car was low, and it went medium, and now it's back to low. Yeah, okay, anyway, we got another winner here. We got a few winners, before we get to the big losers, of course. We got the Porsche Taycan. Taycan has increased in terms of handling by 5. RQ has also increased by 8. The MRA has decreased, but only by a little bit, from 79 to 78. Okay, this is a winner in my opinion, because it's kind of like the Renault Clio situation, whereby, yes, it has gone up in RQ, but I think it deserves to be an RQ57. When you put it up against, you know, German twisty cars, I think it's alright. You know, use it on a twisty circuit, it's pretty decent on a twisty circuit. Use it on a twisty circuit rolling, then it becomes like the best 57. Use it on a fast circuit, it's pretty decent. And then more on the hybrid track sets, it's good on the forest road, city slalom, Tokyo off ramp, trades blows with the Porsche Caymans and the roof 3400 on some of the hybrid track sets. When it comes to the vanilla twisty track sets, the roof is still pretty dominant, and the moment I bring in the BMW Z4, it becomes even more dominant. I guess you can say that the Porsche Taycan might be a little more useful if it was 56, but I can see it being 57 as well. You just gotta know where to put the Porsche Taycan, right? Again, you know, Forest Road City Slalom. Again, there's no times, right? There's no times for the for Forest Road and City Slalom for the BMW Z4M. I get that, and the Z4 Z4M maybe is too good. Maybe the Z4M should be 58. Maybe it should be 59 even, right? But I think the Taycan's alright. I think it's in a decent place. It's got a low 0 to 60 compared to a lot of cars it's competing up against. And it's definitely beating out things like the Porsche Boxster, for example. So I think it's pretty decent. Alright, now, the big loss, right? The big L. The very, very big L. Just about every ultra rare that went epic, in my opinion, is a loser. Seriously. Anything that just loses to a Holden of Fiji, which is everything that you see here. You know, when you put these cars up against a drag, against a Holden of Fiji, TVR's going to lose. Both TVR's going to lose. Morgan definitely going to lose. Morgan's going to lose at freaking TVR. Mercedes AMG is going to lose too. You know, all of them, right? The Jaguar XQR is going to lose. And obviously a lot of these off-road tire cars are all losers as well. Like, I don't even need to talk about all of them one by one. Just talk about it in bulk. Just about every single epic that went up to ultra rare is a loser. And I think a lot of these epics did not deserve to go up to epic, and this is why I'm really mad at Robin's little wacky world of plus or minus 3 RQ. It's just really stupid. A lot of these cars did not deserve to go up. The fact that the Fiji is still an ultra rare, but these cars are epics is ridiculous. I still think that Hutch is weighting medium ground clearance a little bit too much, right? Like the Mercedes E55 AMG and the S65, they're decent dragsters. They are, but they're not going to beat a frickin' Fiji, right? And the only reason why I think they're going to go up is because although they don't beat the Fiji, Hutch's argument is like, oh, but the Fiji is low. These are me. Who the fuck cares if you're medium, honestly? Like, this is, if you're grading a car off a drag, don't care about the medium ground. You have one track set in top, two. You got two track sets in top drives, which are drag related that require medium ground clearance. It's your your half kilometer and your 1 kilometer speed bump drag, which you see like once every 6 months in the game anyway. Like at the end of the day, if you're comparing a drag car, if you're buffing drag cars, do not buff the Mercedes-Benzes because they're decent drag cars. You should be buffing the frickin' Fiji because that thing's an overpowered drag car. And these things should go back down to ultra. It's stupid. There are only a few epics. These 6 that I understand, a few ultra rares that I understand going epic. In my opinion, these are the 6 cars where I look at them and I'm just like, yeah, they should be epic, honestly, right? The Colorado is just better than the other Colorado. Like that makes sense. That should be an epic. It's a little bit too good in terms of handling. BMW M5, again, a lot of people are mad about this one, but hey, I'm not mad about it. This thing should have never been an ultra rare. Things like that, things like the Fiji, and things like the 306 Maxi, okay? If you ask me right now, top 3 ultra rares in the game back in the olden days, M5, 306 Maxi, Fiji, and surprise, surprise, 2 of them are still freaking ultra rares anyway. But the BMW M5, that should have gone up, right? Citroen Visa, I get that, that should have gone up, that's a good one. Alpine, I get that too, that should have gone up. I think that RQ70 is too high for this car, but, you know, more like an RQ68 would be good for the Alpine, in my opinion. Renault Clio, I get that should go up maybe a 65. 69 is a bit too high. Alpha 159, I get that as well, again maybe a 65. BMW M5 71, also a bit too high, honestly, maybe 69, I would say. But yeah, these are the only cars, okay? These are the only cars, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, are the only ones that are deserving of going up from ultra to epic that I can think of. Everything else that you see here, bruh, why? Especially things like the Silverado and the Sierra. Why? My guy. Things like, it's not shown here, but like the Ram, the backcountry. Why? Why did y'all go up? Seriously. And dude, honestly, one of the most cursed things is that the AMG S65 is RQ72. The fact that the AMG S65 is a higher RQ than the BMW M5 is absolutely ridiculous, man. It is ridiculous. Anyway, I know why a lot of people are mad. You know, looking at this makes me pissed off too. But hey, remember guys, we're trying to adapt to things here. We're trying to look at the bright side. Among all the crap, there are still a lot of winners, right? We're looking at all the winners over here, like your Escorts and your Elans and your Dodge Hornets and even a freaking Audi. I mean, it's not a big winner, but it's a winner nonetheless. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you found this video useful. I'm gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight.